up, y'all? It's me, Erica, and we are down here. Peace, y'all. Take care of each other. Protect your energy. Do not see it for Kim Zolciak at all. At all, honey. Let's see what else is going on. Internet is lame. I learned a while ago. That's why I don't care about anything on it. It's wild out here. Yeah, and then somebody did a synopsis of um Andy's new book, The Daddy Diaries, and just went through basically just giving us the cliff notes. You guys want to go through it? Let's go through it. Okay, so let's go through it. So Wendy Williams called him personally to pitch herself to New York. He said he would have gladly taken her a few years earlier, but didn't think it was a good idea with all of her newfound mental struggles. It was Andy's own idea to split New York up, and he pitched the two shows to executives personally, but still dreaded telling the fans and the women the news. He knows how much everyone loved New York. He says he first approached Bethany about Legacy, but she didn't understand the point of the show. However, she did seem open to it and told him to make an offer that she couldn't refuse. He then insinuates she's two-faced for publicly bad-mouthing the show the day after it got announced when she was asking for an offer to do it the day before. Doesn't like Bethany trashing Housewives in general. Luann was not happy about Legacy and had valid concerns they discussed, but Andy wouldn't go into them in the book. Leah immediately texted him and asked him to be on Legacy with the old school bitches and not the reboot. No, Leah needs to be on the reboot. She needs to be in the younger group of women. The Legacy group, they should have never got. Okay, this is when I say that Ebony's presence on the show ruined the dynamic, because you had a friend group of women, established 20-year friendships, 15-year plus friendships established. You have this friend group of women. They may not be politically correct, right? They may have their issues. They're a train wreck. But you don't bring somebody into the fold of a friend group, an established, long-lasting friend group, with the personality of Ebony K. Williams. Because every single episode, Ebony had to make it a classroom, a learning opportunity, a teaching opportunity. And that's not what we're here for. And I know that they wanted to, create to fulfill their diversity quota, but I feel like Ebony would have done better on Potomac. I really believe that she would have done better on Potomac. And I kept saying they need to do a Real Housewives of Harlem if they want, because the truth is, and this is what I had an issue with the Friends, what people would say about Friends. Oh, they don't have black people. You guys have friend groups where you don't have any other race of people in your friend groups. So you can't act like there's no such thing as a white female friend group and there's no other race of people in the friend group in New York City. You can't act like that. While there might be diverse friend groups, I had a diverse friend group in Los Angeles, but there are groups of people who have a friend group where there's no other race of people besides them. And to act like you needed to add Ebony to this friend group to fill this diversity quota, it really affected the dynamic of the group. It really did. We knew who Ramona was. We knew how Ramona voted. We knew this white woman was possibly had some racist ideologies. If you're from America, if you are American, you are going to have some racist ideologies, because that is the thread of the fiber of this country. It is threaded with racism. So you meeting somebody who has racist ideologies, who has far right political views is not uncommon. And this just so happened to be the group. Now they had a mixture. Carol wasn't far right. She was very much left, very much democratic. Um, um, we knew that Ramona was a Republican. We didn't need to bring a race element into this group. And it really fucked up Real Housewives of New York, right? Tinsley was fine on the show. Leah coming on the show, she was too young for that friend group. It was literally like Leah was in a friend group with a bunch of her mother's sisters, a bunch of her aunties. That also affected the dynamic of the friend group for New York. So yeah, it messed up New York. It really did. But here we are, parting ways. Leah immediately texted him, okay, parted ways with Ramona was mutual, but very zen. Her new guy didn't want to be on camera and she wanted to break away. He didn't like that she called Legacy lame, though, the loser show. I feel like if you guys wanted to create a younger group of women in New York, you could have done that. I don't know why. I don't know. Maybe you could have did Real Housewives of, you had New York City. I don't know. Another borough. I felt like they could have went to Brooklyn and had a black cast if they wanted to do that. I really still believe that they need to do a Real Housewives in Houston and make it an all black cast. I really believe that they should do that. And I also believe that Potomac should be taken out of the Housewives umbrella because it really literally does not represent Housewives in a good way. As a matter of fact, in this little synopsis here, they barely mention Potomac. Like, Potomac needs to be taken out because it really doesn't represent the Housewives in a good way. The dynamic is off. The colorism issue is like this. It's disgusting. We're tired of it. You know, get them out of here. Call it a different, whatever other name you want to call it. Literally nothing about season 13 about the Ebony and Ramona HR investigation. Says the two all-time biggest leakers to the press are in the New York cast. It was somebody put Luann and Jill. Talked to Carol for the first time in years after his phone got hacked and accidentally kept calling her. A business exchange is how he described the combo. Had many casting issues and dropouts with the new New York. Jenna Lyons was the last to be cast and they really needed her. Hates season 12 of the Kathy drama. This is Beverly Hills. Hates that season 12 Kathy drama happened off camera and didn't want Rinna to turn it into a main storyline of the season. Hates the constant leaks with Beverly Hills, but Rinna keeps swearing it's not her. So they put in parentheses, sure, Jan. Hates the toxicity of the fans on social media. I do too. But admits their unhappiness with the season kept him up all night. Hates Diana for not showing up to the reunion when she had so much to answer for. He didn't understand her at all and now holds the distinction of being the only housewife in history he's never met. Diana would have been good if she wasn't a bigot. And she allowed her bigotry to show. And then I just didn't understand Diana either. I really wanted her. I felt like she was fly. She came in, she's a nice looking woman, she has, the money, and you came in and it was just like, girl, what are you doing? And I feel like Lisa Rinna had a hand in that. I really do. Feels like he totally shit in the bed on season 12 reunion by not being tough enough on Fox Force and asking enough follow-up questions. He didn't do good. He said Garcelle was especially stressed before the reunion and that she texted him after to tell him how disappointed she was and how it went. Yeah, he didn't do well. Rinna texted him in the middle of the night after the season 12 reunion saying she's officially leaving the show. He texted her back saying that feels right. Then he finds out weeks later from his team that Rinna took it all back and wasn't planning on quitting. He said he wished she would have left on a high note, but also calls her departure a pause and alludes to her returning down the road. Couldn't believe that people thought that Dorit's home invasion was faked. Said Dorit is not a good enough actress to ever pull that off. Producers were courting Leslie Grossman to become a housewife, and Andy didn't even know about it. For Orange County, it says kind of admits that He wanted Tamra fired, but implies he now regrets it. He also thought her podcast with Teddy would prohibit her from coming back, but Tamra convinced him otherwise. The OC season 16 reunion was short and phoned in, said Noella and Heather were out of tune with each other. Not to mention Casita hip driving OC into the ground, or Heather's lukewarm return, but said he thought season 16 was good. Taylor Armstrong approached him about wanting to be on OC directly after she moved there. It wasn't the worst idea in the world. Vicky immediately found out about Taylor was in talks and was up in his grill wanting to know if she got a contract. Vicky cried to him after finding out Tamara was coming back and had to pull out of Watch What Happens Live for the announcement. She wouldn't stay composed, but later she did the show and wound up being sweet and supportive of Tamara, which made Andy emotional. Meanwhile, the entire crew was masked up because of Vicky's anti-vax status. For New Jersey, never saw anyone get as drunk on Watch What Happens Live as Jen Aiden did in early 2022. He says the New Jersey season 12 reunion was the most exhausting ever. No, he says that this reunion is the most exhausting and that they went all day long. And he said that, I think he said he yelled at Teresa at one point. He said it was very exhausting, a lot of yelling, stuff like that. He said he thought Teresa seemed over the show at that point. He talked to them off camera about wanting off the Housewives for a few years. Ooh, this is getting long. I'm going to cut this. I'm going to actually cut the Real Housewives part up. Mentioned several times he thought season 13 would be Teresa's last season. They wanted Carolyn Manzo back for season 13 because she was chomping at the bit to take down Teresa, but he knew they'd never agree on a contract for Caroline. Sounded like they wanted her as a friend, but she had too many expectations, aka full-time money. Ran the Carolyn Manzo idea by Teresa, and she said she would never film with her. He begged her to at least let them go through negotiation process. He says he really liked Jackie, didn't want to see her demoted, said she had the greatest attitude about it, and that she told him she'd be the greatest friend of the show he had ever seen. Yeah, she did good. She did good as a friend of the show. I was surprised. I felt like she was more, she participated more than when she was a full-time. I felt like she was talking more. I honestly did feel like she was talking more. Teresa called Ramona low class off camera after the wedding invitation fiasco. Teresa wanted Andy to attend and officiate the wedding, but he could not accept. Matt Rogers did a huge anti-Gia Giudice rant on Watch What Happens Live. They had to cut it from airing because Andy didn't want it to look like an attack on a kid. Kathy Wakili sent him tons of gifts for Lucy when she was born, despite not having to talk in many years. For Atlanta, thought season 13 was subpar and prayed the season would get better. Sheree's original tagline for season 14 was, "There is no greater OG than she." Sheree hated it and demanded a redo. Thought Marlo did too much on season 14. She was walking around on the show with an AK-47 and randomly firing at people. It was almost like she needed to get into an argument with somebody because she feels like getting into arguments is good for the show. We'll see what she does this season. It says, thought season 12 and 13 were terrible, but loved season 14 reunion. Thought Marlo stole the show after they did a full 90 minutes about her past and present, much of which didn't air. On his fallout with Nene, what a sad end to a relationship with someone I adored and put on a pedestal for years. The door is closed. The day after Nene's racial discrimination lawsuit dropped, Amy Sedaris showed up to the set of Watch What Happens Live, screaming racist at Andy as a joke. Salt Lake City, I don't really care about Salt Lake City. Real Housewives Ultimate Girls Trip. Season 3 casting was a mess. Sounds like there were multiple dropouts last minute. Tinsley was rumored to drop out, but he doesn't mention her. He says they went to Garcelle at the last minute, but she didn't get back to them in time. They went to Shannon Bedore, who was unavailable, and finally landed on Portia at the very last second. Leah was also an alternate, but he didn't mention her. Alexis and Megan King Edmonds wanted on and were in the running, but production seemingly passed on them. For season 4, Camille and Gretchen accepted immediately. Who is Gretchen? Gretchen? Who is Gretchen? Sounds like they were the first ones cast. Carolyn Manzo was a last minute addition. No mention why there were so many repeats from season 2. It said for Potomac season 7 reunion, they asked Ziwi to be a part of the colorism conversation. That's all they said about Potomac. Yeah. Yeah. So that was pretty much it, y'all. This is from All True Tea. Shout out to All True Tea. This is from, the credit is from by Wig. Hello Drama is the website, and they're the ones that gave the excerpt on the book. So that's pretty interesting. Thanks for the cliff notes. We don't have to read Andy's book. Let's see what else. I think that's it, y'all. I've talked enough, right? So let's get down in the comments. Let me know. I'm going to cut this Housewives part off from the last, from the other part, because this is really, really long. So take care of each other. Protect your energy. Let's get down in the comments. Peace.